Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Markets Hunters. I am your host, Hunter Gaylor, and we have another exciting episode today. We're going to be talking with John Lai, who is the CEO of PETV. We always enjoy talking to John. I've got a lot of really exciting news coming out of their company. Before we bring him on, just a couple of housekeeping rules and some updates. Our YouTube channel is growing, so make sure you like and subscribe. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, the new X.com. And we are rolling out some new channels. You'll see up in the top here, we have the American Wallet. The American Wallet's a new platform where we have on YouTube within a channel where we will be featuring all of these PetVivo interviews along with some of the other companies that we're talking with. But without further ado, I'd like to bring in John so we can dive right into this on a Market Monday. Hey, John, how are you? Welcome to the program today.
I'm doing well, and I hope you are too.
Oh, well, I am. Thank you, John. So I'd like to get into some of the news that has come out. There's obviously a lot of developments that's been going on in this particular space. You and I have talked a lot about the developments that have been going on with PetVivo, with this ethos study and some of these other conferences and things that you're going to be participating in. So I'd like to kind of give you the floor and talk about this upcoming conference that you're going to be presenting at and some of the people involved and what that means for where you're going with your spring product.
Sure. So this week we will be at the ACVS conference in Louisville, Kentucky. I believe that's the American College of Veterinary Surgeons. We're at so many conferences, I can't remember all the letters.
Yeah, it says that you are exhibiting at the 2023 American College of Veterinary Surgeons Conference. And you actually, John, it says here in this recent article that you're going to be focusing on the medical devices and the therapeutics for companion animals. So we're focused once again here on the small pets. These are your cats and your dogs.
Correct. Yeah, this is a conference more for dogs and cats versus horses, but there's still horse vets there. So we have Dr. Manning that will be doing a presentation on alternatives for surgery for small animal as well as options in the large animal space. Red Stage is a organization that's very prestigious in their research work, and they're known for bone marrow stem cell research. So they will be presenting on alternatives to surgery for small animals, it's specifically canines. And Spring is the lead sponsor in that presentation. And obviously our product will be mentioned as one of the alternatives. And then also at this conference is the second cohort and completion of the ethos study on cruciate injuries. So we're excited about that because that's our first real clinical data that the small animal salespeople from our partners at MWI as well as our internal sales team can present to veterinary doctors. So hopefully that will drive much faster adoption from the small animal veterinary doctors. And I also like to reiterate about 6-7 weeks ago, we had that peer review article from Dr. Tamara Grubb, which talks about our product as a first-line alternative for veterinary doctors to look at, as well as a good alternative for dogs that can't take NSAIDs, because those two are really pretty powerful takeaways from a leading veterinary doctor in canine pain management.
Well, John, we've talked about this in the past when we talk about the leading alternatives to surgery. When you can have this injection that you have, the Spring product, that's really a game changer in the marketplace because from a price perspective, and we've talked about this, I'd like you to go into this a little bit, but what the impact for the marketplace will be when you don't have to go in for surgery anymore. Talk about it from a cost savings perspective, and then kind of what that means for not just PetVivo, but the marketplace in general.
Yeah, this is quite disruptive and innovative technology as you look forward of what's happening in the marketplace. Our product actually is considered a veterinary medical device, and hence insurance will cover this. lots of the other procedures out there or newer procedures are user pay. So we have an advantage from a pricing standpoint. We have an advantage, I believe, from an efficacy standpoint and also from a safety standpoint, because ours is focusing on the root cause of the problem of osteoarthritis, which is bone on bone contact. Given our materials are neutral to the body, it will create that cushion without creating side effects like many of the other pharmaceutical products.
Well, John, going a little bit, because you've got two leading doctors that are going to be presenting at this conference that's coming up at this expo. Dr. Jessica and Dr. Joseph Manning, and they're scheduled to be presenting on the intra-articular therapies, which is, and I want to focus on this for our viewing audience, is a naturally derived option for joints. So this is not some harmful, toxic chemical. This is, when you talk about this disruptive, innovative technology, this is really what we're talking about.
Yes, absolutely. The spring with OsteoCushion technology is a naturally derived matrix. Once it's injected into the joint, it starts to form the scaffolding. So in essence, you can look at it as an extracellular matrix, or you can look at it as very similar to a lubricant, but it's a natural lubricant versus competitive products, which are synthetic lubricants that can have side effects, or more side effects, I should say.
No, sure. I mean, look, anytime it's natural, it's probably better, right? I think that's
Correct.
the general consensus. But I want to take a step back and go over this, because I really want to, for the viewing audience, go through what this means with Red Stage. Red Stage here is an integrative veterinarian partners. They're taking a multimodal approach to management of orthopedic cases. And you've got some major representatives there. Talk about your relationship with Red Sage, what that means for Pet Vivo, and really kind of the future for the innovations that are going to happen in the line of products you have, starting with Spring.
Well, I think based on their expertise in stem cell therapy, there's good likelihood that we may do something together from that standpoint. Because one of the advantages, or one of the things we did when we were doing the research for NIH, was on the basis of focusing on how our spring particles could be a great platform for delivering other agents. And if you think about the drawback of stem cells, is that once it's injected into the joint, they have a very short lifespan from dying of lack of oxygen, and they also dissipate from the space that they're supposed to stay in. About 80% of those stem cells will be out of that area in the first 24 hours. So if you think about the theory, or what we believe is happening, is that if the stem cells were put on the platform of Spring, those stem cells would stay in the area much longer, and hence give better efficacy and outcome for the same stem cell. And that in itself is not a real difficult study to do, because they have a lot of data on the stem cells already. So also when you do a comparison, I think it really leads up to that. And hopefully, we can figure out the proper protocol for doing the study, which will show that we're adding efficacy. We obviously we don't know if it will, but in theory and intuitively, you would think it
will. Well, yeah, I mean, when you start putting the pieces together, John, just from a basic market overview, and that's what we do on the show, is we like to look through these things. The more partnerships and relationships with these organizations that you have, I just feel from a market perspective, it's going to continue to increase the overall exposure, the positive benefits, the studies that are coming out showing the success and the efficacy of Spring and OsteoCushion. So I think that's a testament to the growth of the company. And I kind of want to take this point as a segue. John, you run a publicly traded company. You've been in the public markets for some time now. You've got some good viewpoints. there's obviously a lot of turmoil going on in the markets. There's a lot of conversations about the shorting and the naked shorting and all these things going in there. And not that we want to cover that, but I want to just get your take from the standpoint of Pet Vivo, where you see the market going. You know, we just got into the Q4 of 2023. So a lot of interesting and dynamic things are taking place in the market. And I just want to get your take on what's going on in the market and how are you positioning Pet Vivo to really just kind of make your way through these very stormy seas that we're seeing, if you will.
Sure. I'll start off with Pet Vivo and then expand out to the macro stock market and economy. So, Pet Vivo's been working on multiple studies, and we're coming to fruition and beyond fruition where there's presentations of these studies as well as publications. So over the next 6 months is pretty exciting times, but this next 30 days, we have 2 safety profile studies as well as the ethos cruise ship study. And then by year end, we'll have one on equine efficacy and also mechanism of action. So there's 5 for sure, and I'm sure I'm forgetting 1 or 2, but that's a good thing that we have so much going that I'm forgetting them. So I feel we're positioned very nicely, and if you look at the way from a technical stock trading action, it looks like we got a pretty good base here. And so hopefully, as some of this news comes out, we see more and more participants take a serious look at Pet Vivo for the short, intermediate, and long-term investment. Now, from a macro standpoint, the stock market, I believe, is very oversold. And I think last week was a key pivot point from me being extremely bearish to short-term bullish. And the reason I say that is, one, the US dollar went parabolic on the upside. Bond yields went parabolic. The 30-year hit 5%. You had oil going up to like $93 a barrel. And you also had other markets that were acting like the VIX went over 20. And all those made those huge moves, but then there was a failure to confirm. And also from the standpoint of contrarian indicators on CNBC, I saw that 68% of the professionals were extremely bearish. So in my mind, it's every bad news went out there that should have dropped this market, didn't drop the market. And then over the weekend, we saw bad news out of Israel that ordinarily, if this market wasn't so oversold, could have taken this market down, the Dow Jones down 1,000 points. So from a technical standpoint, I see the S&P rallying and testing 4,400 and could break out to 4,520. On the low end, 4,200 is a major support zone. So I don't see it testing there. I see more of an upside short term. So we're going to see the Santa Claus rally and we're going to see the January effect rally in the 4th calendar quarter. But after that, I do see it continuing its downturn trend, because you also got to look at mortgages. Mortgages at 7.9% on the 30-year. And all those are more longer term negatives. Now, here's a wild card that can really give the economy a tailwind. So you got Novovirus and Lilly with their diabetic drug that actually has tremendous weight loss potential that we're seeing in the market. That could be a significant savings to our healthcare in the intermediate to longer term, because the number one factor that causes heart attacks and cancer, and it's actually cancer then heart attack, is obesity.
Right.
This drug in use for weight loss, which, for weight loss, they're not going to get reimbursement. So you're going to see a lot of doctors writing for pre-diabetic people to take this drug so it can get reimbursed. So I see that as a major healthcare cost savings, because also diabetes and heart attacks are the big areas in cancer. This all helps reduce the risk factor for those 3 major disease categories. And in essence, that will help reduce our long-term costs. Now, from a macro standpoint also, which is a negative, is the UAW strike. Because they're looking for a 40% wage increase, reduction of work hours from 40 hours to 32 hours, as well as job banks. Now, as you move into the EV space from the internal combustion engine, there's a major component reduction. And so there's less need per employee on the line to actually make that vehicle. So if they get all these concessions, you have two drivers that's decreasing productivity. That is the less hours worked plus misallocation of human labor within the job bank,
Right.
because there isn't a need as many people. Therefore, it's a reduction in productivity no matter how you look at it. And right now, if you look at EV production in the US auto manufacturers, they're the highest cost provider already from a labor standpoint.
Right.
And if we do this, it will give the Chinese a major stronghold in the US automotive industry. And if it doesn't, wipe out the US automotive industry. So
and we do, John, you've also seen the numbers of auto loans that are coming as well. And we did see some the student loans as well. So all is definitely going to have some serious impact.
And commercial office real estate refinancing coming up in the next 12, 13 months, that the rates are, more than doubled, from 3% to 7.8%. That's gonna, I'm telling you, and the regional banks are going to take major hits, where these people or the companies that have the loans are just going to hand back the keys to the bank and say, good luck.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've always told people, you think you own things in America, but in reality you don't, because you're always paying taxes on it. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Well, John, it's always great to have you on the program. I really appreciate you joining. We're going to keep tuned. By the way, for our listeners, you are presenting at the Think Equity Conference. So this press release did come out. So I just want to make sure that our viewers are aware of that. You are participating in Think Equity Conference. That's going to be at the Mandarin Oriental in New York, and that's coming up here October 19th. So
correct.
So if anyone is attending, make sure you stop by and you talk to John.
Yep.
There you go.
Great.
All right,
thank you,
John. Thanks for joining me on the program today. Really appreciate it. Good to have you here.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining to another episode of Markets Hunter and our special edition of the American Wallet, where we talk about the issues that matter with the companies, and we get very good intel and reports from these companies directly, like John. So make sure you check out PETV, PETV Cares as well. Really great stuff that they're doing in the animal space, especially for all you pet owners out there. It's an incredible product. So take a look at it, and make sure you always like and subscribe and share this. We'll be airing this across all platforms. And if you miss it, you can always go back and play it again. So we appreciate you being here, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Markets Hunters.
Lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis can be difficult to treat and debilitating for an animal's health and well-being. Take control of lameness issues and joint pain. Introducing Spring with OsteoCushion technology. With just one injection, Spring with OsteoCushion technology targets the root cause of lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis, helping animals do what they do best.